Since the beginning of civilization, there has been examples of invasions of land, racial exploitation, racism, and religious conflicts, which has created the type of world we live in today. You would think that by 2016 we could find a way to live amongst each other without the hate, the violence, and the killings of innocent people. But unfortunately, these horrors still continue today, and only God knows if we will ever find peace.
Looking back over history, it is clear that conquest and exploitation have remained a major function of warfare between nations.
Ponce de Leon was the first Spanish explorer to arrive in Florida. His unwanted arrival started conflict with the Calucha Indians. Ponce de Leon explored the coast of Florida in 1513. The primary goal of the expedition was to obtain slaves. At this time, the Spanish were interested in Americans as laborers, sexual partners, guides, potters, and suppliers of food. One of the common misconceptions is that Ponce de Leon was looking for a fountain of youth. He was really looking for slaves who would add to his wealth. Another example of conflict between cultures is something all Americans think of as a lovely holiday, Thanksgiving, with happy pilgrims and Indians sitting down to a feast. That did happen once. Upon arrival of the pilgrims, they only found one man, Squanto. He taught them how to grow food and survive the harsh environment. A peace treaty was negotiated, but as word spread in England about paradise to be found in the New World, settlers began arriving by the boatload. They seized land, capturing strong young natives for slaves and killing the rest. The Indians did not agree to the peace treaty and fought back. In 1637, 700 men, women, and children gathered for their annual Green Corn Festival. At dawn, the Indians were surrounded and killed. The next day, the governor of Massachusetts declared a day of Thanksgiving because 700 unarmed men, women, and children had been murdered. The true story of Thanksgiving.
Throughout this history of civilization, there has been racial exploitation, which is unfortunately the backbone that grew our civilization and the civilization of other countries today.
Racial exploitation was especially beneficial to the U.S. because slaves were forced to work for no pay. Therefore, more money was made. Black slavery was the engine of American economic growth. Slavery was abolished in 1865, but the abolition of slavery, that is, the full enforcement of the 13th Amendment, took many decades beyond 1865 to be realized. The blacks were still left at the mercy of the whites well into the 20th century. Assumptions about white superiority led to the formation of vile groups like the Ku Klux Klan that lynched, beat, and even burned black people. Although there aren't as many groups like this now as there were in the past, the assumptions about white superiority still exist today. We are seeing examples of this with the killings of innocent black males by white police officers like Alton Starling, Trayvon Martin, and Corey Jones, right here in our own backyard. These attacks on the black community have prompted the creation of Black Lives Matter, a network which is a charter-based national organization working for the validity of black life. They are working to rebuild the black liberation movement.
Why do we hate?
We hate because we're taught to hate. We hate because we're ignorant. We are the product of ignorant people who have been taught an ignorant thing, which is that there are 4 or 5 different races. There are not 4 or 5 different races. There's only one race on the face of the earth, and we're all members of that race, the human race. But we have separated people into races so that some of us can see ourselves as superior to the others. We thought it would work, I guess. It hasn't worked. It has been bad for everyone. It's time to get over this business. There is no gene for racism. There's no gene for bigotry. You're not born a bigot. You have to learn to be a bigot. Anything you learn, you can unlearn. It's time to unlearn our bigotry. It's time to get over this thing, and we best get over it pretty soon. I'm an educator, and it's my business as an educator to lead people out of ignorance. The ignorance of thinking that you're better or worse than someone else because of the amount of a pigment in your skin. Pigmentation in your skin has nothing to do with intelligence or with your worth as a human being. It's time to get over that.
Religion is powerfully motivating, and belligerent humans fight over it. Churches like Westboro Baptist Church formed their own religions, protesting against soldiers, the LGBT community. Some religions even consider the LGBT community an act of sin.
And unfortunately, religion has been a major feature in some historical conflicts and the most recent wave of terrorism, such as September 11, 2001, in New York, Islamic hijackers steered 2 planes packed with fuel and passengers into the World Trade Center. On November 5, 2009, in Fort Hood, Texas, a Muslim psychiatrist guns down 13 unarmed soldiers while yelling praises to Allah. On April 15, 2013, in Boston, Muslims describing themselves as very religious detonate 2 bombs packed with ball bearings at the Boston Marathon. June 12, 2016, in Florida, Omar Mateen enters a gay nightclub in Orlando and commits the largest mass shooting in U.S. history. All of these terrorist attacks left thousands of innocent people dead.
To end unnecessary conflict, we must come together as one. As the old adage goes, united we stand, divided we fall. The killing has to stop. The violence has to stop. We need to learn to protect and support one another.
Black Lives Matter.
White lives matter.
Hispanic lives matter.
Police lives matter.
All religions matter. All people matter. All lives matter.